big benefits of Timbersaw is that your 4 can do this, but then if the enemy team takes it, you're effectively stacking.
Well, who's sadder? Is it Timbersaw or Earthshaker? Because we saw earlier today with BZM, got his stacks mostly stolen. His game just never recovered.
I think in this game you should have given them to Shaker to accelerate the high-impact team fight maker that you have.
Level 6, Invis Rune, and Planet will be the recipient of the first roar of the game. And that's an easy kill for Falcons, as they're actually on the doorstep here of a Wisdom Shrine take as well.
This is a very
big get.
Play. Just perfect timing.
They get both.
A great play call at the right time. That is the biggest win of this game so far for the Falcons side. Getting both Wisdoms means that Morta and Disruptor are currently sitting on level 3, and Disruptor, Static Storm is pretty good this game. You're going to have to wait a long time for that. I think Pierce the Veil less important comparatively, but
I think if the game goes 60 minutes, doesn't really have to worry about that too much. As Shiro jumps right on top of Amar, back into the calling, so silenced up, trying to get to the north, be able to cast anything. Finally, the arena comes out, but actually gets decrepit at the last moment. And they have damage to finish him up. Trying to this, and Shiro now the one in trouble. As Skeeter and Crit have come to help out. No kills will come from this. Let's hear it cheer just in general. All right, well, that was underwhelming, I'll be honest.
It also didn't deserve more than that.
Staking under the tower, getting pursued by Faith Beyond. Looks like he'll eventually pick him up. Does take a beating in response, though, as after all of that, Skeeter actually gets picked off on the top lane.
Yeah, and I was going to point out, this whole top fight extending as long as it did was because of a rare missed dead shot from Planet. But in the follow-up fight, they do get an even bigger kill in the gyro.
Yep, Crit help Mallory get the rune, but they are outnumbered. That's 4 versus 2. Using that haste rune to full effect to get to the north side. Has to be a little bit careful, though. Getting some bottles up, as Nothing to Say is going to continue the pursuit, but all for naught. We'll have to let the Beastmaster go, but still, great exchanges overall for Tidebound.
Yeah, Shiro starting to create some separation here. 3-0-0. He is up by about 600 gold over the opposing gyro. And now, with all of these moves being unsuccessful for Falcons, Faith Beyond is actually taking second here on the Timber.
Yep.
Considering the laning start that he had playing the 1v2 for the most part, this is a very good look for him. And Nothing to Say is, of course, going to be losing in that equation as the mid shaker. They can't all have a good game at the same time, but they're stacks. So,
finding stacks on the other side of the map this time. As Falcons very aware of the triangle at this stage, and Crit's aware of this as well. So he's going to leech a little bit of XP as a result. I mean, at this early state, Tidebound obviously was just a 1K lead at the moment, but whose shoes would you rather be in right now?
I think overall the game plan of Tidebound is unfolding a little bit better, specifically because of the gyro move top failing and leading to a death for Skitter. But there's no real cause for concern for either side. I think all the cores are at least somewhat enabled. Shaker is a bit behind, but will find his way back into this more than likely. Falcons only having 2 kills minute 10 is maybe a little bit surprising though, but they have taken mid tower, which is a big objective, and surely top is on the menu sometime soon. Beastmaster loves to make this rotation, whether he has a Dominator or not.
Yep, Shiro found by Crit. He's going to be able to take a Satyr for himself. Amar looking for an opening, but not going to follow through, it seems. First item will be the Blink Dagger, no big surprise. And looking at Shiro's farm right now. He, of course, has the Helm. I mean, do we see any variation on the Marcy builds these days?
I think every carry Marcy I've seen this tournament went Dom. But then after that, there is a little bit of variation. Sometimes you rush BKB. We've seen some people get 1 intermediary item. And after the BKB, I think there's a decent amount of room for creativity. Basher is classic, but you can see something like an Orchid in games where that is good. You can... Yeah, okay, that's not a lot of variety, is it? Daedalus sometimes, I guess, but it's not always the same.
Okay, well, Nothing to Say has a bit of a stack. Not the biggest we've seen, but this will be a nice, juicy Echo Slam for him. Didn't feel as good as I thought it would, if I'm being honest, but he'll get some nice farm out of it nonetheless.
The sound plays a big role.
It really does.
It's just not really the same when you echo the ancient.
It's Kind of an interesting thing that we've been seeing, though, because you can't really contest this if you're the other team, because if you get in the middle of this, it's just going to add to the echo.
Yeah.
But all you can really do is try to steal a farm beforehand, which they did quite nicely. Amar, though, the recipient of this gank from TIDEBOUND, that is an easy kill for Faith Beyond. They even find a lowly Snake King, gets glimpsed out of the TP. Double kill for Bach.
Yeah, this is...
He's owning.
Not that there was anything spectacular about that from Y, but I just want to give him a mention here. I think this is his best hero of all time, and even in patches and metas where this hero is not particularly favored, it's a bit of a mixed bag in this tournament. Some teams like this, some teams don't touch it at all. But if Disruptor is playable, Y is going to play it. TIDEBOUND have found massive success off of this, and look at him making his next move immediately.
Static Storm right on top of him. Absolutely no response available for Crit. Still only level 5 at the 12.5-minute mark. 8-2 advantage for TIDEBOUND, despite the gold lead basically being even at the moment. And I mean, I can't really look at the XP, but obviously that Wisdom Shrine steal from Falcons was a huge deal.
The thing that's pretty impressive about this is that now Y has been in 7 out of 8 kills, and as you mentioned, they did not get the Wisdom. So he was level 3 at minute 7, and he has still managed to accomplish this much. So a job well done. But side of Falcons, though, things are still completely stable. All 3 of your cores are having at least moderately good games, so they can keep progressing toward their key items. Seeing Amar here with his Mars approach, he is going for the 2 Bracer Soul Rings, same as pretty much everyone else. But he's going Blink. You and I have cast some Marses of, for example, XXS, who bypassed Blink entirely until like 3rd or 4th item. Not the case here. Amar wants to play more aggressive and set up his teammates for success. And it might overlap quite nicely with Malreen's Ags, which is about 1,000 away now. So those 2 items would be a strong timing for the side of Falcons, combining that with Crit's soon to be level 6. Big level up.
Indeed. Well, Nothing to Say just got his Blink Dagger. We'll see if they get a smoke gank ready to go to reveal that bad boy. Has the Echo Slam up. Still only level 1 though, but can still get a nice kill with the +1. And it will probably just push this wave and then they'll smoke shortly after, unless they want to continue to just play the slow game. Looks like the Wisdom Shrines will go for each side this time around, and there's the connection with the smoke. Even Shiro come into play with his Wild Wing.
Yeah, this is an interesting time to smoke. The Wisdom's coming up in 1 second. You're kind of in the middle of the map, so you're not covering them at all, but perhaps that makes this less predictable for the side of Falcons. Malreen will actually break one of them.
Yeah.
They don't know where he is, though.
That's a very nice spot for Malreen.
Yeah,
that is a big
placement.
deal.
They will now try to perhaps invade, but if you're going to invade for the Wisdom now, you're running through the lane through full vision, so not going to be the case.
Yeah, they spot Nothing to Say. Now they jump on top of them instead. This is the follow-up, though. Snake King coming with a nice Nether Blast. They've already taken out Planet. Nothing to Say. Trickling away. The Mortimer's Kisses just hits them in the end. 2 kills for Falcons. Not only thwarting the initial smoke attempt from TIDEBOUND, but absolutely crushing them afterwards.
Yeah, that's just beautiful.
That's the Blink reveal.
Yeah, it's just an outplay, right? You break the smoke. Malreen seemed aware that the move might be coming, so he took a good position. And as he breaks the smoke, they make their own move, and they get the Blink reveal play. That's, you know, the Shaker was looking for this one. So, a nice move for Falcons. No real objective to claim just yet. We're 15 minutes in, but they keep ramping up.
Yeah, Amar, he wants some revenge. They get the glimpse back into the Static Storm. He's pretty tanky. Doesn't look like reinforcements are coming, though. So will be a kill going the way of TIDEBOUND. And for Shiro, about 700 away from finishing the BKB. Which for Falcons, I mean, it's essentially Roar is the main counter to the BKB Marcy at the moment. Which, like you said, his Malreen's Ag's about to come now.
There's a bit of cause for concern here. So Timber was just top net worth, and now he is. They're tied for first. This hero is 0-7 this tournament. So if you're doing well, you're just going to give more gold over to the enemy team when your hero inevitably has to lose. So got to be really careful with that.
What do you think the reasoning with that win rate is?
It's a good question. I don't personally think the hero is particularly bad. So it's not the biggest sample size, 7 games, but still,
well, it's not the hero's fault. It's the player's fault. Then,
well, we cast Bach playing this against Extreme Gaming. That game it didn't work out, but I don't know. I feel like we're going to see this hero a couple more times here in on the big stage, and it's going to grab a win or two. The conditions in this game, in my opinion, are pretty good. He did pick it late and has some solid info. Went for the Kaya Sanj and now eyeing up BKB. Started with a casual Ring of Health that he's not converting into anything. A lot of the times you'll see this item used.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's quite rare nowadays, as a matter of fact, to just buy a value ring. But wanted it for the laning.
You could turn it into a Crimson later if you really want to, and against the Gyrocopter, not too bad, but maybe not the most traditional item for a Timber Saw.
Yeah, the more traditional one would be Lotus. Playing against Roar, it's kind of nice.
Smoke revealed. Shiro leading the charge as Crit gets to the high ground, and he's going to get glimpsed back into the arms of Bach and just gets deleted. The Roar counteraction from Malrine. Do they have the damage to gut through Shiro? He pops the BKB and dies instantly. First BKB of the game for him. Amar, though, stuck all alone. He's going to get bursted by Bach as it looks like Tidebound now on the retreat. The buyback came out from Crit in the meantime. So this is now a 4 versus 3 situation. That's a lot of damage from the Chakram from Bach, and he takes out Snake King easily. Now Malrine on the run. This is such a back and forth affair. Gets slowed to a crawl. Nothing to say with the Enchant Totem. As Bach, again, up front and personal. The cookie's not going to hit, but the last proc from Planet is enough to kill off Malrine. So despite losing their carry pretty much instantly, Tidebound able to bounce back quite a bit.
Honestly, that kill on the Pugna was just a beautiful sequencing of skills from Tidebound in that. And yeah, this was in spite of Shiro barely getting to play his hero in that fight. It was a really nice shot call from Malrine to go for the Roar and the burst on there. They had just enough. If they have 10% less damage, Shiro starts getting off multiple volleys of attacks, but not the case. In spite of that, Tidebound definitely coming out ahead regardless. And you're seeing in these engagements so far, Bach is making a good case for Timbersaw. It's massive teamfight impact, and if his offlaner archetype hero doesn't do a lot of damage and you kill the Marcy, you win the fight there.
Yeah.
If he has a traditional offlane control hero like his Centaur that we've seen a lot of. So perhaps part of the rationale here for running this particular hero with Marcy is just that there's a second carry problem. Timbersaw, perhaps one of the... Would you agree it's actually the most carrying offlaner in terms of archetype? Like, I think this sometimes Timbersaw carries games in the off. There's not many offlane heroes that carry.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
That's why Amar used to love it himself. Won many a game on that hero.
Yep, very true. That's the reason our team got second at TI way back when, losing to Faith Beyond, of course. Still bitter about that.
Yeah, he's actually picking this because you're casting to remind you of Moo.
Yeah, those were some classic games. Only a 1K lead for Tidebound. I mean, I don't know about you. I was expecting this to be a very close series, and it's been entertaining thus far.
Yeah, we both agreed the most likely outcome was a 2-1, so I'm sure a lot of people out there share that sentiment, and at this point, 20 minutes in, don't really have any strong favorite for this one, so still keeping it close. And knowing Falcons, they're just getting warmed up. Another 60 minutes to go in this one.
Yep.
I was laughing so much backstage in the green room when I saw they had top 6 longest games of this TI. It's like unbelievable that
all
the
of
same
them over
team,
an hour.
Yeah, they were like all 70 plus.
All right, we have smokes on both sides because Tormentor has woken up.
That's right. They're in.
But it looks like this will be Falcons to take. Question is, can they withstand a fight afterwards? Amar gets the shard. And you can see Tidebound still continuing on. The heals are coming. Planet's going to show himself first with the dead shot. Can Falcons retreat, or do they actually want to fight? Amar gets off the rebuke. Instant pierce the veil, though, into the Mortimers. That's an easy kill for Snake King. There's Amar's Arena onto 2. Shiro the BKB. Looks like they might want to retreat, though, as the Disruptor's picked off. So Falcons holding that high ground is now the Roar on top of Shiro. This would be an enormous kill for Amar and company. Beautiful spear into the trees. They got the stun lock. They got the kill on Shiro. 3 dead as Bach tried to save his carry. Now he has to retreat in shame. Has to Nightfall away with the BKB TP. So 3 dead. They lose the shard as well. Falcons coming out way on top.
Honestly, I'm a bit surprised that Tidebound went for that. They might have felt like, okay, they just took the Tormentor, they're going to be low, but you had no vision and no control of the area, and the enemy team is beautifully set up on Falcons there. Having the Pugna to heal up heroes after you take the Tormentor, including the Tormentor heal itself.
Yeah, the fact that they waited for the Tormentor heal to actually go into effect.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, probably right away is the
Exactly. They were just too late, and it's easy to criticize because you're like, okay, you were too late, just call it off. But you feel so invested that you've already run your entire lineup up there that you're really tempted to take the fight. But Falcons were set up so much better, and Mars is just a godly hero in that area when you have the vision.
Oh, look at this, TIDEBOUND. They're going to continue to get aggressive despite this BKB still being down for Shiro. Echo Slam right on top of the gyro. Gets feared back. Do they have the damage? It's going to be close, and finally Shiro coming in to finish the job. All 5 members of TIDEBOUND here to watch Skeeter die.
The best hero they can kill. Gyro was...
And this opens up the Roche.
Yeah, and Gyro was close to BKB, so this is such a nice snipe for them to get at this exact moment. The Roche is the icing on the cake, and the reason that they went for it to begin with is if they find a meaningful pick, they know they can turn it into this. So you lost the Tormentor, but you got the Roche and the carry kill. If there hadn't been a fight up top, I would say clear advantage TIDEBOUND overall in this exchange, but of course they did lose quite a bit in the top left corner prior to this. Now Shiro with the Aegis.
Indeed.
Glimpse.
Thinking, glimpse back, and will die eventually.
Well, he's pretty tame.
He will die eventually. Surely gets Cookie to the high ground. Now the roar on top of Faith Beyond with Amar. Nice zoning ult. They're going to get 2 kills on likelihood. Wise going to stay alive a little longer with the execution, but the rebuke at the last moment takes out the Timber. That's 3 dead now. These fights make no sense. One team gets an objective, easily wins the fight. Next team with no resources wins the next fight. This is just back and forth.
And Snake King is just deceptively tanky, right? He's got Solar Crest, he's got Essence Ring with Brawny, so that's 400 HP on his neutral item, the Wand and the Cloak. He managed it. I don't know if that was a fully premeditated bait. You're going to see the replay here, but notice how tanky he is here when he gets pulled in. So, Essence Ring popped.
Y almost killed himself with the Nether.
Wait, he didn't? Oh, finally he used his Solar. Okay, so he used Solar when he was on 10%. That might have actually baited them to commit for that.
Yeah, that was nice.
Even a missed spear doesn't matter there for Amar. They're still contained in the area. And TIDEBOUND unable to bring the additional cores to the fight.
Well, the good news for TIDEBOUND is they still have that Aegis for another 3.5 minutes. Feels like every BKB charge for Shiro so far has been just... It hasn't had any effect on the fight. He's died pretty much instantly after. But having that second life should theoretically help the cause. But now they're on a 6K deficit.
Yeah, this is the first meaningful lead of the game, where starting to approach that one additional key item mark. Skitter has finished his BKB, which is a big one, and you're approaching Amar. He's actually queuing up Refresher next. He does not have all that much mana pool for this. He has to be careful with the usage. Obviously running 3 points in Bulwark. Usually you see Marses take 1 Bulwark and then stats specifically to enable themselves to go Refresher earlier.
I feel like this is the fastest Refresher that I've seen on Mars, if he continues.
Yeah.
3rd item, basically.
It would be very early.
Like, we've seen Yules in the past from Amar, help set up his spear.
Yeah.
But indicates that they just want to brawl it out. As Nullifier now online for Shiro. So we don't have to worry as much about the Decrepify.
This is a really important item that they've been lacking so far, and now being able to dispel the Solar Crest and Decrepify in one go is definitely big. But the problem that TIDEBOUND has found themselves in a lot of fights is locking down the target so Shiro even gets to attack. And when he does get in there, he still needs to worry about the roar. So it's not that easy. Set it up, and Falcons with... in, I would say, you know, classic Falcons fashion now. You're playing against Aegis. They're going to just be farming the map, pushing the lanes, trying to stall out the game. Probably knowing that... I guess that's an interesting question here is there a clear favorite if this does go the hour mark? I think that's a valid concern or consideration whenever Falcons enter the game.
Would you like to talk about Tier 5 neutrals yet? We can do that.
That they have such a massively big subset of their games go the distance, so might as well start planning for it.
Yeah, who would you choose then?
I feel like it's kind of close, really. Disruptor Axe is a true wild card in the late game. That's a concern you have to deal with against the side of TIDEBOUND. Planet, of course, can start scaling. His Muerta is currently going Atos into Axe, which is very standard on position 4. Once you get Octarine, as well as a full Gleipnir, this hero becomes a true late-game menace. Just all that low cooldown AoE control. Shaker is a late-game monster, so they definitely have some of their own, but of course Falcon's side, you've got Gyro, you've got late-game Beastmaster, 2 Arenas, Snapfire.
Yeah, we have seen that hero pop off.
Yeah.
Even without the right-click variation. Just that 25 talent with the globs, crazy damage. Of course, that's 35 minutes away, so...
so much to look forward to.
That's right.
I mean, we both know we're going to get there.
Falcons sure can't end games. That's something we've learned at this tournament, no doubt about it.
So far, they've not been in a position to, so, in this one. In the tournament, can't speak for all games, but...
True. 30 seconds on Aegis. Shiro and company look like they want to make a move potentially.
They gank some boars. They kill one of them.
So looks like Lincoln's is going to be the next item for Shiro. He's been getting roared a little bit too often.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Does feel like a requirement this game.
And he's also chosen a vast serrated shiv, so he does have a little more attack range. It's clear that the mindset he is in is, I'm struggling to stick on targets, so he'll do whatever he can to find the opportunity to do that. Neutral item plus Lincoln's would be a big help. What can they break Lincoln's with? Decrep, homing missile. That's it.
Well, there's going to be a Hurricane Pike for Skeeter.
It's pretty good, this game. A lot of the time when you buy Lincoln's for a specific target, there's still additional problems that could proc it, but here it's not that many. And keeping in mind, Snaking went for the pipe, so Aetherland's still some ways away for him. And Decrepify cast range, not the best without that. Trying for the smoke.
And why? Ooh,
oh, Amar with a miss.
Yeah. Thought somebody was there, not the case. We'll retreat now.
Yeah, now it gets awkward. When you've broken your smoke on your initiator, you might just call off the play.
And like you said, the Aghanim Scepter online for Planet. This is a huge deal. This is, I don't know if you'd agree on this. This is a top 10 Ags for me, easily.
It is so good.
Crazy good. Being able to increase the width of the dead shot by a very, very high degree.
It's actually an interesting item on carry as well when you go for the other facet. Now he has Supernatural, or rather he has Dance.
Mara caught off guard, gets glimpsed back into the arms of Shiro, gets decrepified though, it's going to save him a bit. That's a huge kill out to Shiro out of nowhere. Didn't bother with the BKB and suffers the consequences.
Uh-oh. That looked kind of promising.
To be fair, he's been dying in BKB every time, so he's like, what if I don't hit it this time?
Yeah,
well, same result it seems.
If he BKB nullifies there onto the Mars, I think perhaps this fight goes differently, but just wasn't expecting to getting caught off, and you have to BKB and get roar. You just have to, because if Falcons are going to burn the roar on you during your BKB, they probably can't burst you 100 to 0 anymore. Gyro more or less a split damage carry rather than the focus fire single target, and you are freeing up the fight for your Timber Saw to carry it, right? Bach has big items to get in there and cause a lot of havoc with Ags now with BKB to protect it. But if you just die on the spot there, you're not allowing your teammates to shine in the fight.
As Malrine will be going for the refreshers, so lots of refreshers planned on the side of Falcons. Oh, looks like, yeah. It looks like Amar is still going for the refresher first. I thought he might change his mind when he realized his mana.
He switched to Aetherlands.
Oh, you're right. He does have an
he bought an in-between item.
Okay.
I feel like he is almost the only player in the world who buys this item on Mars. I could be wrong, but I just connect this item with him in particular, using it as an intermediary way of getting that mana that he needs for the refresher. He uses it for the extra cast range on Spear, of course, and the cast range on Arena should not be underestimated. It gives you some nice additional plays with Blink spearing into Arena being easier to pull off.
Oh, Planet forces the issue from Amari, gets off his ult, going to force the BKB out of Shiro. There's the roar from the other side on Mallory. Do they have the damage this time to cut through Shiro? It's going to be close. He's really low, dies inside of his own rebound. Another death for the carry of Tidebound as Bach with that Aghanim Scepter. Boom, boom time. Gets off. Oh, the Yules actually activates because the BKB ended early, and now the Rocket Barrage upon him. Static Storm to try to save their offlaner. It is not happening for Tidebound. And now Y on the retreat. He's holding a gem. This would be a pretty big kill for Falcons. Looks like he will be able to walk away, but still Falcons super happy with being able to kill Shiro first again.
It really just seems to be the deciding factor of this game so far is, does Shiro get jumped and how do Tidebound respond? Their lineup doesn't have save, So whenever Shiro's caught, you can't just protect him. They haven't itemized defensively either. The Muerta having Atos Ags and the Disruptor going for Blink. There's no Solar Crest, there's no Glimmer Cape. Just no mitigation to be found anywhere for Shiro when he becomes the primary target. So it begs the question, are you approaching the fights correctly? Should you just full-on YOLO in with your Timbersaw first and try to draw attention to yourself so Marcy gets to play? As this has gone so far, I think this is the 4th or 5th fight in a row that Shiro just gets stunned up and more or less killed 100-0.
Yeah.
So,
and
Falcons now with a commanding lead, 13K.
Absolutely.
Tormentor for Beast.
And that's the other thing. They've gotten 2 Tormentors, and the 50-50 on both has been favorable because Pugna has not gotten the shard yet. It's gone to Mars and now the Beastmaster.
Yeah.
So, Falcons, again, going to be happy.
They just got 2 refreshers. Beast and Mars have leveled up massively. If Tidebound were struggling to deal with the first round of BKBs, well, you're going to have a second problem now. Even more pressure onto Shiro. If you don't manage to get his physical damage input in the fight, I just don't think Falcon's lineup dies.
Well, Roche number 2 is underway. We'll see if this ends up being a free one for Falcons.
Yep, not going to roar this one, as it is. The first one went to Tidebound. And they'll probably put it on Malrine, I guess. Or, well, they both made an inventory slot. They were unsure, or maybe he was just freeing up the slot.
Yeah,
for the
I'm
jet.
sure they were having a very civilized discussion,
Yeah.
and then Skeeter just takes it.
Skeeter
Understandable.
said, me carry, and
Yeah.
took it.
Exactly.
He's almost got dataless now. He is starting to have a pretty strong inventory now at 33 minutes. Now, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but this one does not feel like a 70-minute game to me right now.
Yeah, there's the jinx. Remember this moment, everybody. 33 minutes in the game. Cinderin was quoted as saying that.
I mean, the fans want their money's worth in the audience. They want to be here all day. Go home at 2 a.m. Why? Hiding. Oh, if those axes were thrown the other... Oh, he's going to be spotted by the boars.
Yeah,
He is so
Mallory
dead.
finds Y, and this is the gem. So he did hold on to it for a lot longer than I was expecting, but a nice pickup again for Falcons, getting pretty much everything they want on the map. Now, in terms of the Lincoln's timings for the side of Tidebound, because it does feel like the Roar has just been the end of these fights, effectively. Nothing to say. I think he's finished, actually, so just needs to be delivered, and Shiro just roughly halfway there.
Yeah, because he switched up for the Basher instead of the earlier Lincolns, which might have come back to bite him, honestly, like these fights with how they've gone. Now he can maybe hope for a good setup where NothingToSay gets to put the Lincolns on the Marcy, and then if he has his own...
How much damage do you think Shiro has done to enemy heroes this game? Feels like he's just dying first every time.
A few thousand at most.
It's going to be one of the lower on the team.
Impressive. But yeah, speaking of that, I also haven't felt much Shaker impact. I just think Falcons have done such a good job at making it difficult for these 2 melee heroes to get in there up close and personal and actually land.
He's actually leading the team in hero damage. That's quite surprising.
That is surprising.
Barely.
That is concerning, I would say. If it feels like he's dying so fast, nobody is soaking up the space in the fights. They just can't.
And Falcons doing what Falcons do best. They're starving out the map. The problem is it feels like this tournament, this isn't working as effectively for whatever reason. Typically you just methodically take the Roshan, you push the lanes in, you get all the tier 2s, then you wait for the next Roshan, then you finish the game. It was like that for a while, but the high ground has been quite difficult. We've seen many leads just evaporate with the first high ground push.
And Tidebound do have a spicy lineup to push into. Now that the Gleipnir is completed on planet, it makes it even harder. All of these low cooldown AoE stuns and displacement abilities are very powerful on your high ground, and of course the Ags, where it's a dead shot, does both. It is both a fear and a reposition. You've got Shaker Fissures to worry about, Glimpse. If you ever overextend, you know you're being pulled back. So I think Falcons will take their time. Shocking. And just control the map.
Yep, they're definitely savoring this. 3K gold onto Skeeter.
They do have a
Satanic
banner already on
next.
crit, and Skeeter is showing intent on going high. They're actually going in here.
Well, they do have Aegis for 2 minutes, so Roche banner placed. They want to, at the very least, poke. You can see Faith Beyond trying to aggro the crease, but the 2 siege units will still remain at the base. So this tower almost certainly going to fall. The Skeeter more than happy to throw away one life. Well, the fissure blocks them off. Actually pretty good. But the force staff onto the other side, and now the barracks exposed for Falcons to take. And this is going to be the first range racks down in this series.
The thing is, this isn't a theoretically surprising play to go for this, because I think you're in a great spot to do it. We've just, like you said, if we go back 2 months, this would be the most obvious play.
Yeah.
That Falcons would do this. There's just been so many failed high ground attempts this tournament and so much stalling.
Oh, nothing to say.
But they're in firm control, and this is just a matter of time.
Looks like they'll give up the full lane as the siege units will finish the job. So Falcons successful in their first endeavor on the base of Tidebound.
And the only trade-off for Tidebound is that Marcy gets to free farm in the meantime. So they have made the judgment call that fighting into this Aegis without Lincolns is just too difficult. So they will sacrifice one lane now. The Lincolns for Marcy is only a few hundred away. Actually, I'm probably overstating that. About 1,000 away. And they have the one on Shaker. So with these 2 Lincolns, perhaps they can look for a fight finally. It's been a very long time since Tidebound has seemed interested in engagements. But that's also a really big part of the reason why Beastmaster's has been such a high-rated hero this tournament, right? He's being banned in so many games, first picked in the rest of them almost, it feels like.
Yeah.
Just a very, very powerful hero, can be flexed between mid and off lane, buys great items. Yeah, very strong, and Malrine, no different. Ironically, he is playing a micro hero, so you'd think he could buy Dominator if he can micro this one.
True.
It's easier to micro.
The Hawks you don't need to do much with these
That's
days,
true.
though.
It's just the boars.
Nothing to say. He's going to reveal himself, but we'll get the Blink TP.
Oh, he got the literal perfect neutral item, by the way. He got the
Dazoon.
the timeless Dazoon Bloodright. This has to be the best possible item you can get as Shaker in tier 4. Bigger AoE on everything, and the spell amp and the longer stuns will very much come in handy. And there it is. They're going to look for that exact play. Aegis is expired, you have 2 Lincolns. But now, of course, with how long this took, Falcons have items of their own. Skitter has Satanic now, so he's a tough target. Amar has
He is completely isolated.
He does have... He can combine his Eon Disc right now on Amar, so... If he's the primary target, he can save himself. This is not easy for Tidebound.
Yeah, it looks like they just get a couple wards down, and we'll have to wait in all likelihood for the next Roche, which they absolutely have to fight. And of course, their lineup is unbelievably scary in an isolated area like that, or in a contained area. You have all this AoE, not even included the Dazoon Bloodrights that you're bringing up, Timbersaw. You got the Echo Slam from the Earthshaker. You have the Calling is something you cannot ignore, and of course Static Storm. We've seen it so many times turn the tides of fights.
And their arguably best AoE spell out of all of them, Deadshot.
Yeah, now that he has Ags, absolutely.
That one's available all the time. 10-second cooldown with the Gleipnir as well. Yeah, this is still, make no mistake, 17k is absolutely a big lead, but it is possible for Tidebound to find one singular good fight and swing the game almost on its head, or at least catch up fully. But so far, based on how well Falcons have navigated all of these fights and avoided disaster, it's hard to see them just fully blunder this until a Roche fight. They have so much control of the map, so good wards out. And of course the gems, like you covered, are in their favor.
So what's the next power spike for Tidebound? Because I think we both agree they're going to have to fight at this next Roche.
Shaker Refresher is a big deal, and he almost has it.
Okay.
On Nothing to Say, so I would say that is the best next spike they have. Muerto's eyeing up Blink, but didn't buy it. I think Planet might be saving for buyback instead.
Oh, Disruptor's only 4,200 gold away from Aghanim Scepter, so...
Just an Ags away.
That's right. Very ambitious for Y, but of course he's seen a lot of these games go late, so can't really blame him. And
now, unfortunately, he didn't get greedy. I'm assuming he was offered greedy when he took Timeless Outworld Staff. Because this is indeed the type of game where Disruptor might be one of the single best supports in Dota to take greedy on, because you almost never attack anything. Even when you're farming, it's oftentimes you just throw a Thunderstrike on the wave and back off because you want to be hidden and be a threat on the map with Glimpse.
No, nothing to say is going to show. Malrine and company would love to get a pick off before this Roche spawn. Still has not come up yet, though.
Another attempt. Glimpse on a mark.
Out. Will not be KB away. Smoke. Oh, there's the Echo Slam. There's the opening under the gyrocopter. They're going to be able to blow up Skeeter. He's dead. Just like that. As Malrine gets off another roar, but now this is in full retreat mode. They do have buyback under the gyrocopter if they want to use it. Fissure's going to connect onto the Pugna. Snake King is tankier than he looks, of course. Bach, his active scepter, does proc his crit with the Mortimer Skins. There's the Mars Arena from Amar himself. Lots of damage onto Shiro with the double spear to follow. Shiro's dead. Bach follows suit. No buybacks needed from the side of Falcons as they somehow turn this.
Even though Skeeter dies first, they have to commit so much for that, and Amar finds a beautiful angle. That spear was...
Oh, the cancel of the TP. Wide does get off another glimpse, but we can see the TP from Malrine. He wants a piece of this, and he'll get it. Denies a bounty rune, though. Good job to Y.
Yeah, gets tipped for that. Nice heads-up play. Yeah, that was the timing for TIDEBOUND, right? And they kind of lost that. At least it's like
it looked good at first.
A draw at best. And it is, of course, it is a limitation of their lineup that in order to burst and commit on this gyro, since he is as tanky as he is with 4,300 health, you have to pop a lot of stuff. They used multiple BKBs, they used Refresher on Shaker, Marcy used the majority of her ult. And when that BKB on Marcy runs out, she kind of seems to be getting kited a lot in this game. So might have to itemize to solve that problem. Currently thinking about Abyssal, that would help keep people in place.
This opens up Roche number 3 for Falcons.
Okay, if they really want this speed, then yeah, don't blame them. They kind of need it. They have the outpost. Okay, if the outpost was not under Falcons' control, this could have got really interesting.
Skeeter trying to rush himself into the pit because he really wants that Aegis.
They'll get it.
They'll leave it for him. It takes a while to find it with all those items dropping to the ground, but Roche has been vanquished. 5 minutes of that Aegis now. And next up on the list for Falcons, a second lane and potentially the game if they win this next fight. But TIDEBOUND, again, have to say it. If they don't get picked off beforehand, this high ground defense is pretty scary to look at.
Yeah. They will have a banner again, though. This could be a big help.
They're not going to waste any time. Falcons right away.
Yep.
Wave getting cleared, though, so no Roche banner placed yet. Skeeter already in half HP. We'll get healed via the Pugna, so not going to use the Roche banner until now. This tower looks to be dead. There is a fortification online for TIDEBOUND. Flak cannon. As Amar jumps in very deep, gets off the arena. They're going to focus on the buildings for now, so maybe this is just... He's just going to die to the Mortimer, so Planet. No chance at all, as that's a second lane for Falcons. Glimpse back, Malrine's gonna get Echo Slam with the Fissure to follow. He's gonna get E-bladed though, nothing to say. Does get the kill with the last Fissure. There's the buyback though as Skeeter disposed back into the Static Storm. Pops the BKB, healing up thanks to the Pugna and a little bit from the Satanic as well. And you can see Shiro left all alone. He's roared and killed. 90 seconds of no mercy as a cheese eaten up by Skeeter, and they're going to go for full megas, if not just the throne outright.
They didn't even get his Aegis there. They kill the Beastmaster, he has buyback. There's just so many lives to get through.
Yeah.
You have to commit so much to kill one core one time.
Yeah, this Pugna pick has been pretty valuable. Deadshot can make things a little bit more annoying, as Skeeter, all he wants to do is get to that top side of the map, but they keep blocking him. All of these obstacles, as there's the roar from Malrine right on top of Muerta. That is a death for Planet. No way to get back in the game. Second one reserved for Y. He buys back though. This is going to be potentially the last defense for TIDEBOUND in this game number 1. But it's going to be 5 versus 3, not including the Aegis, which still has a full 3 minutes.
Yeah, Skeeter just seems invincible. 5k HP and 30 armor and a Pugna. The Pugna life drain has been such a big deal. TIDEBOUND would have been able to defend and stall out for so long against the carry, but all of their damage just get nullified.
And that is Mega Creeps.
This
Now
is
the
a
tier 4 is
fast
being
game for
pressured.
Falcons, Shannon. 46 minutes?
I still believe this will go 60 minutes some way, somehow. Bach gonna get speared into his own tier 4. Lincoln's actually does proc thanks to that primal roar. And you can see the gyrocopter not too worse for wear because the Pugna's still on the back line, healing him up. Not much TIDEBOUND can do here as the tier 4 is about to drop to the deck. Amar getting harassed a bit. Muerta back in 30 seconds right now. Still a 5 versus 4 in favor of Falcons. Throne completely exposed now as Shiro going in for one last ditch effort. They're just gonna block off. Pugna still in range though, and this life drain, they just can't do anything about it. Amar, Arena, right on top of Bach. Now the magic damage coming from Skeeter with the right click as well. Bach is dead, buys back instantly. There's roar number 1 for Marcy. Echo Slam a little bit too late as Shiro is already dead. And NothingToSay has to walk back in shame as a triple Arena from Amar as the GGs come out. Falcons take game number 1.
Damn, it was an interesting first 15 to 20 minutes that were back and forth, but Falcons found one good fight, started getting that 6K lead that we talked about, and after that, every single subsequent fight, they have Shiro's number, they keep good formation, so they never get wombo comboed by Shaker and Timbersaw, never really got into trouble against the Muerta Eggs. Didn't really feel all that impactful, to be honest, when it came out.
Yeah.
So credit where it's due. They did a very good job positioning their heroes correctly. And Timbersaw now with a whopping 0% win rate, 0 and 8.
Wow, incredible stuff. And Falcons finished this super quick at 47 minutes. Shiver!
Thank you very much, Daniel. 47 minutes. Wow. I mean, we did hear Falcons talk about coming into this international after the road to TI. They talked about how they addressed some things that needed fixing. And one of the things, well, I don't think it needed fixing, because to be honest, I'm here for it. You know, I'm here for the 70-minute, and I'm sure that you guys are also here for the 70-minute games, but the players, they thought it needed fixing, and they fixed that. They make sure that they leave no room for TIDEBOUND to make a comeback in this first game of best of 3. A lot to break down here with Kezu, Effie, and T-Gov. T, this game, it did feel very smooth for them.
Yeah, I feel like Falcons weren't ever truly punished, right? They were able to set themselves up, they rebutted a couple early moves, and then as soon as they hit that farm, they're just chilling the entire time. Like, we have some, obviously, comparisons down the line, but critically for Falcons, if they ever can get the game on their kind of timeline, they will build a network lead. You have to do something to break that, and at no point in this game did TIDEBOUND find an opportunity to control the tempo.
They had like a couple of okay plays, like here, right, with, you know, you had Y, who did pretty good on the Disruptor, like set up some kills, try to help Shiro with the Marcy, but ultimately there were a lot of fights where this just kept on happening. You have Snaking there with the ward, you have the Arena, the kisses, you get some kills, and later TIDEBOUND were in an okay spot, but I feel like they did 1 or 2 mistakes that they could not have let happen in this game.
Yeah, I just feel like the Shiro Marcy really didn't do much of anything. Like, he couldn't find a comfortable entry point into this game. As we see in this highlight, he rebounded it in, got cancelled by the Arena, and for some reason it interacted with the BKB such that he bounced back. But this wasted a lot of his BKB duration, and here he just dies. Typically with carry Marcy, she takes over the entire map when she gets that Helm BKB timing. This time wasn't the case. She was just dying over and over again every fight.
It's also weird, because I don't know if he was BKB during the rebound or used it mid-air, but the fact that it like stopped his rebound, like it ruined his absolute entire fight. And like you're saying, like also with the heroes, they want to play from ahead, they want to have a good start to the fight, but it just kind of didn't happen after the 50-minute mark anymore.
There's just no damage. Like, look at all the clips, it's just Marcy punching, doing nothing. Buck with the Ags and the BKB, he's having to run away. Of course, you know, it's the tail end of a fight, but it feels in principle like TIDEBOUND, if they didn't, you know, capitalize on maybe like the early, it's basically like they had 15 minutes to be aggressive, or the whole game is waiting for Falcons to hopefully make a mistake themselves.
Yeah, it was tough. And in that highlight just now, the most recent one, again, Marcy BKBs, jumps in, gets roared. Other times, Marcy gets Arena Speared before she can even BKB, and the kisses have taken quick work of her. They just could not activate this hero at all.
And the stats from Snaking are insane as well, right?
Yep.
Like, he's got 27,000 healing, right? He had, what, nearly double, if not triple, the net worth of Y. Like, when you look at the counterpart between the Disruptor to the Pugna, it is, yeah, Snaking just had such a stellar performance.
Yeah, also his itemization, right? At some point, he had an incredibly good game. He's on 82% of all the kills. You know, he farms the dead lane like he always does. He had such an early pipe. During the draft, it was like, maybe they can pick an offlaner who can buy it. They just get it on their +5 support, which is, you know, kind of unheard of. So yeah, you know, snaking his Pugna. you gotta watch out for it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we talked about it even before it was picked because it was such a strong hero for snaking also during the road to TI, and we talked about it potentially being banned, but they get their hands on it and they crush with it. But that makes the list of heroes you want to ban against Falcons pretty big. But my main question was, this game, one of the problems that Falcons did have during the road to TI was being able to go high ground. And I felt like they solved it, but I couldn't really pinpoint as to how they did that.
To go high ground?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or was it just they crushed so hard before that it was just feeling easy?
yeah, along those lines. I think as soon as you get to the high ground and you know that, like, there was one play where it was like an Echo Slam on a Jayakov 200 to 0. That's the only way they actually enter a fight. So if you have vision, then you're not going to have that happen again. It happened once to Skidder. It doesn't happen twice. High ground's going to be easy.
Yeah, and we did say that it was going to be very important for TIDEBOUND to do good during the lanes. As we here have a clip T for you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to showcase kind of TIDEBOUND's biggest moment in my game, right? The idea is he got the BKB at 16 minutes, kind of 39, and this was instantly after. They want to make the play, but Marcy runs on in first and then dies. And sure, at the tail end of the fight, Timbersaw's stepping up, showing off, but it feels like this fight construct for TIDEBOUND, it needed to be different. Timber has to go in first, Marcy has to follow up, it needs to be clean kills to then create this like narrative of aggression. The fact that we're seeing this from TIDEBOUND, it does put a little bit of fear in me that they're going to have to change a little bit more than just draft going into game 2, because that entry to the game, they weren't making those mistakes in the road to TI.
Like, to me, there's something weird between how Marcy and Timber interact together, because when Marcy pops her BKB, she needs to kill, which means while she's BKB, you're going to do everything in your power for Falcons to stop her. And Timber, during this time, he doesn't do anything. If you BKB yourself to kill her, he pops all his spells and, well, they deal 0 damage.
Yeah, and we mentioned that it was going to be very important for TIDEBOUND to do well during the laning stage, and part of doing well in the laning stage because it was getting that Wisdom Rune.
No, absolutely, because as we could see in a highlight that we have coming up, Falcons, they did really nicely in the early game to, well, shut down TIDEBOUND. So what we have here is, you know, at 6 minute 10, they just picked up the rune and they just walk in here with 2 of their bodies. You know, you have Snaking and Malrine. They eye up this hard camp because for Shaker, it's very important to have stacks. If you don't have the hard camp stack, well, first of all, you're going to lose gold and XP, but it also makes it harder for you to then later on farm the Ancients. With Malrine's Invis, they not only steal the stack, they move further more east. You know, here in the early game, Nothing to Say, he was kind of low on HP, low on mana, and we have to reiterate, TIDEBOUND's early game was super important for the heroes. You have Disruptor, you have Marcy, they need early levels, they need early momentum, and just this move alone sets up Falcons for success and slow down TIDEBOUND. So this was huge for them.
Yeah, very solid. I mean, at that point already, TIDEBOUND a little on the back foot. So then maybe you're going to group up and try to kill this one target because that's your road back into the game, right, Effie?
Yeah, you see a Pugna, you think it's just a little guy. We'll just take quick, you know, make some quick work of him, push him out of a lane, but that just was not the case here. In this highlight, this is right after TIDEBOUND gets the Aegis. This is when they want to take control of the map themselves. They commit so much to killing Pugna here, and he just walks away. He gets away scot-free, the Cookie here to disengage, and then his team just follows up with Aurora, a beautiful arena in the back. And when it looks like maybe there wasn't enough follow-up damage, you have Crit with the Mortimer's Kisses in the back line, and the Timbersaw also dying through his BKB. This was a very pivotal moment of the game because they needed to kick him out of that lane and take that area of the map for themselves. And a few seconds later, the same thing happens. They go to push Pugna out of the lane. In front of 3 heroes, he just TPs out. Snaking just will sit on the dead lane, shove waves, do tower pressure, force heroes to him, and apparently walk it off.
To me, this was kind of like the checkmate moment because TIDEBOUND, they just took Roche like 10 seconds before, but Shiro, he doesn't have BKB, he doesn't have TP, so they make this move top, it's 4v5, it fails, your Aegis timer gets wasted, it was a huge mistake.
Essence Ring and Brawny is also pretty OP.
Yeah. And Nether Ward is pretty good against spellcasters.
And Solar Crest.
Yeah.
There was a lot going for him there.
There was a lot going for Falcons, and there maybe were moments where TIDEBOUND felt a little hopeless about what they could do. For example, I think Shiro had a pretty rough time purge.
That's right, Shiver. Yeah, the BKB usage was a little bit tough here for Shiro, and let's take a little bit of a slow moment to explore some of those spots here. This is that Tormentor fight where they're jumping in. He didn't press his BKB before jumping. He gets pushed back and immediately presses his BKB, so loses that one, ends up getting chased down. Very rough for him. This one I thought was the most interesting, though. This is the fight near the Tri-Camp. Now, he jumped in on this Mars here, which looks like it's going to be a pretty good... Oops, that was too close. Looks like it's going to be a very good jump, but the downside is that you're going to see a Cookie come from the southwest, and something weird happens. The second that the Cookie hits the Mars here, it instantly stuns Shiro. So normally that person is going to fly over the guy, and by the time he lands here, that's when the stun happens. For some reason, the stun started early. That means Shiro didn't get his opportunity to press his BKB. So that was like the second or third fight in a row where his BKB ended up not being very good. So these kind of cascaded so many fights in a row here where he was forced to press a BKB at not necessarily the best moment. He's already down to a 6-second BKB at 30 minutes, and they had Roar to layer through this. So very, very tough game for him. The BKB usage was so crucial for him to do his damage, and we just didn't really get to see very much of it.
Thank you very much, Purge. We did not. And there's one thing that I still very clearly remember about our talk before this series even began. Kazu, we talked a lot about Shiro and his ranged carries.
Yeah, I mean,
this is not a ranged carry.
No, usually that's what they go for, but maybe they wanted to, like, because they play against Falcons, they had a few days to decide. We're like, okay, we want to play a bit faster, you know, maybe try the Marcy, which obviously, as we could see, it did not work out. I mean, 1 or 2 times he got maybe a little bit unlucky. Like, he got Cookie stunned because he disposed, and then because of how Cookie interacts with those spells, you get insta-stunned. I mean, that's just unlocked, but the rest, yeah, this is not his usual hero.
I mean, there's a lot of layers to this where I feel like Shiro playing the Marcy brought life to the rest of the draft as well. Where like Wise playing a Disruptor, you know he's going to play more Starved. I feel like the matchup of TIDEBOUND and Falcons, if you put Shiro on too much scaling, you will have this issue of everyone scales on Falcons and then TIDEBOUND have like everything only on a couple cores, right? So I can see why they're trying to adapt coming into this game. You know, Falcons will be changing, especially after the group stage, the best of 3, but yeah, it's Shiro needs to probably not play Marcy in the next game, or they have to clean up their initiations.
It definitely looked outside of their comfort zone, because even if you look at the other melee carry that he played in Juggernaut, that's the hero that plays for the late game too. It just farms, plays to scale, and will try to hit a critical mass and then carry his team through a certain point. With Marcy, it was the opposite. He was the hero they were playing around while Timbersaw was making a comeback from his bad lane. And then it kind of seemed like they were going to depend on the Timbersaw for the damage to come through, because Marcy's eventually going to fall off. She's going to play versus Solar Crest, she's going to get kited, and it just didn't work out for them. I think the 4 Protect 1 strategy is what they do best on TIDEBOUND.
Well, I will also say we mentioned the Timber, and we heard Sunsfan mention the Timber, of course, at the end of that cast as well. Still a 0% win rate. Tikov, you were on board with them picking the Timber.
Yeah, how dare
despite you? Despite, I mean, obviously you were on the same page with the squad. Is that a shortcoming of the hero, or on hindsight, do you have other thoughts about what they could have done instead of that?
I just want if they have this style, they have to play more aggressive.
Yeah.
You know, as we mentioned, they do 4 Protect 1. That could also be a problem for them where they get outscaled, but like, I like the aggression. They have the concept, the execution just wasn't there. They gave away a Pugner, they gave away a Mars, they gave away a Gyrocop to a Snapfire, all heroes that play counter-aggressively beautifully. So if you aren't flawless, you will be punished. And again, they just didn't have a good game. It was just a bad game from TIDEBOUND. So coming into the second game, they could do 4 Protect 1. They could do the same draft. Like, there's so many things they can do because it can only go up after that first game.
Like, the way I see it too, because usually I see NothingToSay, like, do a little more. And of course, Falcons, they did counter him, they invaded the triangle, they stole his stacks a little bit. But maybe you put him on a slightly faster hero so that your supports can play with him. Usually he's very good on Shaker, but depending on who you play on, they're going to slow down your game, they're going to pick different heroes.
I mean, they also had static cores, right? You've got a Shaker who needs to farm the triangle, Timber who needs to farm his lane to then enter the game, right? So it's like, if you make one core active that you're mentioning,
yeah,
be it from mid or off lane, and then the supports have life behind them, it creates so much more energy, right? It felt like you lose a couple of lanes in this game and everything's just... Ugh.
Everything falls apart, and everything did fall apart for TIDEBOUND. Effie, going forward, I mean, bad game go next, so how do you feel like they should approach this second game that we're about to see?
I think they shouldn't overthink or try to point fingers or anything, because they did have some great moments. I would just look towards taking out the Mars, honestly. I was thinking about this, but Mars as a hero counters a lot of Shiro's hero pool. His gyros and his SFs and his TAs and whatnot, they don't want to play against this Bulwark and this Arena. If they can maybe take it out of the second phase, not give Falcons those good kill combinations, like the Mortimer's Kisses plus the Arena, like the Mortimer's Kisses plus the Roar, and make it so that they can just play around their safe lane in a way where they're not going to lose if they have to congregate there, it'll be easier in game 2.
I actually really like this point, because like we're all saying, it's Shiro's hero pool is mainly ranged. I think it's also Amar's best hero. It pairs so well with what Crit is playing, your Hoodwink, your Grimstroke, your Snapfire. And I feel like this exact lineup we saw from Falcons, like when they were dominant throughout this, you know, entire year where they won LAN after LAN, this lineup looks very reminiscent of what they used to play back then.
Well, I'm sure a lot of talks were happening backstage. It looks like the team are refreshed and coming back into the booths on stage to go next. And for this series, for this game that we're about to see next, I would imagine in the previous game, we did see that it was TIDEBOUND that had the first pick in the game. And I do want to touch upon that because that did mean that they secured themselves the Shaker. And a lot of what we're mentioning is the laning stage and how they contested the stacks for the Shaker, T-Gov. So that felt somewhat predictable. How do you feel is going to impact when the pick order gets changed and stuff like that?
We're seeing a repeat of the best of 3. TIDEBOUND in game 1, they had first pick, they lost. They had second pick then game 2 and 3 and was able to win. So maybe in this matchup, TIDEBOUND having second pick is the advantage for them. They want to react more. They don't want to get put in this position of, like, they're picking the Marcy, the Muerta, like they're kind of flexing things a bit more. They're trying to be more creative. They want to lock in strong, stable heroes and utilize second pick. So I'm expecting them to have that pick order potentially in the second game.
I did quite like seeing NTS play Primal Beast too.
Yep.
When he was on that hero, it felt like it was ready to join its team and help way earlier than a Shaker who needs to expend his first Echo to come back in the triangle stance, right? If you're a Primal Beast, maybe you can look towards setting the place, playing with your team, and allowing for Shiro to do what he does best, which is hit neutral troops.
I do think it's also nice if you have those heroes, because Falcons, like we said before, they become slow at some point, but they don't start slow. They start fast, they open up the map. You want heroes where you can address like the Skeeter move. You know, Skeeter's first gate, his first TP on Nature's Prophet to the mid lane, to the safe lane. So your Primal Beast, your Pangolier, your Tinker, all of these heroes, they could do that. So that's something I would like a lot.
The thing is, you know, Falcons, when they want to go to an objective, they're going to bring the numbers, right? If they want to defend a tier 1, heroes are there. If they're going to fight a tier 1, heroes are there. If they're going for wisdom, like, they're always going to have the resources. So TIDEBOUND needs to be able to match that. If you don't, from like the clips that you show, Kezu, they'll outplay you, take 2 wisdom shrines, and then they'll take the stack. And it doesn't look like a lot, but 2 wisdoms, the odd stack here, the odd fight there, it compounds to 3,000-4,000 gold to simplify that first big fight.
Now, a lot of our talk has been going on about how we want TIDEBOUND to be able to improve going into game number 2. Of course, they're the team with the game down. They want to make that comeback. On the other side, you have Falcons that just had a fairly easy, fairly smooth first game to this series. Of course, they want to repeat that result. They also know that TIDEBOUND's gonna react and do something different in this game number 2. But is there something, Effie, that we want to see that they'll just be able to do again from this game, even with maybe a different draft? Any kind of concepts you want to see a repeat of?
From Falcons, I think the idea of 2 supports that can just wave clear, hide on lanes, create their farm, and force people to chase them around the map, do that again. Looks so good. Whether it's a Pugna, whether it's an Enchantress, whether it's a Snap or a Hoodwink, these heroes are very disruptive towards TIDEBOUND because when they were responding to these supports map pressure, they were bringing everybody. Like, they had to bring 3 heroes, bring a +1 behind because, oh no, we don't have enough damage to kill Pugna, and they just lose their advantage on the map. They lose their area control.
Falcons have a very a script in a way where they stick to what they want from their players, and their players and their heroes that they have, they're interchangeable. So if you ban one, you get the other. So I think for them, it's probably more about they should be ready for how TIDEBOUND will adapt in the next game with maybe a different pick, a different ban, and just play as it did in game 1.
But that's why I think when we've praised Snaking, giving him like MVP for the Pugna, he can still play chant other heroes. Why not look at Crit more? Why not look at the Snapfire, the Hoodwink? These are the active heroes that make everything feel so kind of oppressive in the game. If they're both gone, he's now playing like a Batrider or a Nyx or a Ringmaster. Like, they don't have as much of that kind of punchy value. So I'd say double ban those 2 heroes. We can see a completely different style from Falcons.
I like that. Or take the Snap for yourselves. So one of your supports has that wave shove, because when they do give Snap away to Falcons, it opens up for so much combo potential. Again, the kisses on the Roar, the kisses on the Arena, they came in clutch so many times last game.
Yeah, a lot of questions we have about what's going to happen in the upcoming draft, and those questions will be answered in just a moment.
Team TIDEBOUND versus Team Falcons. Game 2.
Game 2 means that if Falcons take this game number 2, they secure themselves top 6 at this international. Of course, TIDEBOUND would like a repeat of what happened in the road to TI, where they were able to bring it back in game number 2 and 3. Let's see how they're going to attempt to do that. We have this time around TIDEBOUND on the Radiant side, Falcons on the Dire side, and it's Falcons this time around with first pick. So the complete swap around compared to previous game. But there is one thing that didn't change, is that the Ancient Declaration still gets first phase banned, even though right now Falcons only has those 3 bans. So that's a little bit surprising to me, but that also means we got extra juice left in the pool.
I think they've identified something important, which was this hero has kind of been a crux to Tidebound in how they draft. It's always picked really early on. It's always their follow-up damage, and we haven't really seen Planet on very much else. We saw him just now on the Muerta, and it didn't look as good. He looked a lot less comfortable on that map.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe where they should or have to look more at the heroes that you guys are mentioning too, with the snap, with the hoodwink, maybe something else that just makes it a little more easy. Because yeah, the Muerta, it did not sell me in game one. At least one thing that is here now for Falcons, if they do want to first pick it, which they've done a few times before, Sand King could be left open, because you know last game around it was banned, TIDEBOUND went for the first pick Shaker, and they do ban out the NTS Tinker one more time. Can't blame them for doing that.
Yeah, and then Naga makes it through also with that ban that we've had on the Beastmaster and the Shaker. We'll see if TIDEBOUND wants to go for the Sand King themselves.
I don't think I want to see that from Tidebound. It's again, we're going to see NTS hitting that triangle early on, trying to farm a certain item timing and just not being available to his team. This Naga Siren creates a lot of issues because last game we talked about the wave shove coming out of Falcons and how Tidebound couldn't respond to it that well. That is what this hero does best to you.
Yeah, no, Naga Siren, how do you word it in a nice way? I forgot I'm at TI for a second.
You're gonna hate the hero.
I hate the hero. I mean, I'm a support player, but like, come on, man. It's like you press one button, I jump a guy, and then he sings from the tree line. Like, congratulations, man. You've got Shard, they're healing, like whatever. Like, it really simplifies Dota so much that you have wave shove, you have fight reset, and also it plays into Falcons' like logic of the game, which is we want to scale, and it is like the perfect Falcons hero. It's why it's banned out so much.
I mean, they've been using this since like what, Singapore TI, where like even carry Naga was super good back then, where Skeeter played it every time, or snaking and they go with the flex. I like Tidebound's response. Centaur has really risen up in popularity a lot. Generally, when you see Naga, you want heroes that can stay there, you can clear illusions, have high HP region, maybe by a Vanguard. And I've seen the Aghanim Scepter, like the card, it's been getting picked up like a lot.
Yeah. It's a really cool thing, especially if you have a carry like Shiro, who's gonna ranged carry and just be all of your net worth. If you can cart him late game, get him into the midst of the fight, keep him safe, that's one step better than what they had last game. Last game, not a single save existed for the carry. Here, you solve it through your offlaner.
And with the laning matchup, right, the Centaur, the Naga Siren, Centaur will just be able to play the lane like Kezi's already mentioned. And I think knowing that your offlaner is going to have all this farm and doesn't need to rotate is a really good indicator to kind of a successful Tidebound lineup for sure.
I want to see Shiro play Morph, if they can build a draft for it, because maybe take advantage of this AA ban from the enemy team. Make it so that it helps your draft in a way that one of his counters are out of the pool. We've seen how good he looked when they played the Morph plus Centaur combo, as you showed us, Kezu.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, I think, incredibly good for them. And like I like it a lot when you do make use of bans. There's also, you know, there's no beast, you already banned it out. That would be good for the Morph too. Of course, we'll have to see it later, because picking it like in a vulnerable position can be very hard. I think one thing that I find like really funny to see in this draft, so Falcons last time around, they were the ones that picked out of the second phase and they took the snap. Now it's reversed. You have Tidebound that they pick out of phase, and you have Falcons that are like, Snapfire and Pugna are so good, we're not gonna let you have them. So it just shows you like the value of how highly they actually think of these heroes.
Yeah, speaking of high-value heroes, though, Nature's Prophet definitely has been one and can also be flexed. And we can, of course, see it as support, but we can also see it in the hands of Shiro as a range carry.
I'd like to see it as carry at the moment. Of course, the draft might change that, but just the general playstyle. Centaur doesn't care about Naga Siren. He's just going to play that lane. Nature's Prophet, good farm. You rotate in. You're now pressuring Skitter. You're like progressing the map. You're making Falcons react, and making them react in the early game, it really hurts them quite a lot.
And this is the big trade-off that happens when you do expend a double